5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition. Strap in. You're about to listen to the hottest sounds.
Dream Catcher Radio.
Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but actually, you've been planted.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You could stare me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. No, I'll stand my ground. Won't be turned around, and I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna stand my ground.
Okay, we are back on Dreamcatcher Radio, episode number 22 of the Ralph Christie case. And boy, do we get a lot of support for you, Ralph, here on Dreamcatcher Radio in relation to your case, especially because of the people involved. And people have been doing their research at home, looking into these people and making various comments. I'm not too sure if it's helpful, but it's giving validation to what you're saying. Notwithstanding, since we started this series, we've only literally been sharing documents that were put before a public court. So it's undeniable what's been discussed. Now, Ralph, how are you doing? What have you been up to?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Yeah, we had a lot of rain actually this last week. In fact, I think we've had the most rain that Crete's ever had this winter, which is good because there's always problems with the amounts of tourists that are coming over and swimming pools they need to fill and all the rest of it. So from that point of view, it's very good because I don't know with the war that's going on, but originally they were saying a month or so ago that there were going to be 1 million more tourists coming to Crete this year, which it's good for the tourist industry, but it's completely different to how it is now. It's just a nice laid-back lifestyle, and the sun's out.
So then tourists are rediverting from wherever they previously were going to go to Crete.
Well, Crete's becoming more and more popular because I think they've had these problems in Spain, haven't they? Where the locals have wanted to kick people out of Marbella and Mallorca and places like that.
A bizarre situation, isn't it, really? I mean, talk about trying to screw your economy.
Yeah, well, the thing is about Crete, of course, the tourist industry has a massive input into the whole of Greece as a whole, but Crete actually provides a third of the whole of the money that Greece makes because of all the vegetations that we have here and the olives and one thing and another. So there's quite a lot of people in Crete that won't be bothered if tourists didn't turn up at all. But obviously you have got your tourist areas with your all-inclusive and the rest of it, like in London and places like that. So it's nice to have sort of your friends over and what have you. But the roads even in Hania were made for donkeys, really, not for loads of cars and loads of coaches and tourists. But
how old is how old is Crete as a country? Not a country, is it? It's not, is it?
Well, the European civilization started here, so it's 5,500 years old.
Right,
as an island. It goes back to the Greeks and the Persians. They use like you got the Americans now and the Persians, if you want to say, fighting. But as you know, Alexander the Great and Cyrus the Great were some of the real historians. I don't think we'll have Trump the Great, will we?
We were drinking back the back in the day. The Trump the Great, yeah, he'd want that, wouldn't he? He'd want anything he can get. To be honest, gold card for McDonald's to take that too as well. He's such a weirdo, that guy.
Yeah,
he's ruthless.
Yeah, it's terrible what's going on, isn't it? Really, it's shocking. you don't know where it's going to end up.
No, a very dangerous man, to be honest. And most of his panel was executive board or whatever you want to call it. I think he treats it like a company, to be honest.
Yeah.
Scary. Okay, let's talk about positive things. So yeah, Crete is getting themselves watered. Did they use rainwater then for the swimming pools then?
Yeah, there's no actual shortage of water. There's loads of water. It's just the systems are a bit behind. I mean, there's a place called Agiopoli. They're still using the water systems that the Romans put in. I mean, it's an excellent system, of course. I'm not complaining, but you've got your main big towns of Rephanon and Hania and Heraklion, and there's plenty of water in the winter, and a lot of the mountains are full of glaciers, so the heat in the summer melts them, and so you still get a lot of water coming out of the mountains. It's a very, very good system. It's just that you've got certain areas, and Coconut is one of them, that every single year has massive problems because there's another valley between the main mountains and then the smaller mountains, so the water doesn't kind of come down the one side, and then there's not enough in the smaller mountains this side for all the villas and the big hotels are building. So yeah, it is a problem.
Well, we're going to go back to Stephen Thomas this week, but before that, when we had our brief chat beforehand, you said you've got some important developments that you'd like to talk about.
Well, it's I think it's good every week, isn't it? Now we've kind of got into the habit of what we've what's kind of developed in the week, and it just gets more and more sad, really, and disappointing about what the lengths that people have gone to have convicted me. I know I'm not a criminal. I think most people do, but when your own brother has done what he's done, and now finding things out about the Thomas family that we didn't know about. Well, I mean, Cedric's known about it I know Cedric's known about it for a very, very long time, because it was me that introduced Jane Thomas to Cedric at Holland Hall Hotel around, I think, the beginning of December 2010. And the conversation was going on between Jane Thomas and Cedric, and I was absolutely shocked at the conversation. In fact, I couldn't even listen to a lot of it. And I'm saying to Cedric, I've never heard of this going on in families and one thing and another. I can't believe it. Cedric says, "Oh, I'm a policeman. I see it all the time and what have you." So there's obviously things that Cedric has known about the Thomas family going back to December 2010, and we know he was still helping Jane Thomas. Well, we said he prepared those 5 rape cases with that lawyer we spoke about previously. I've forgotten his name, and that was July 2014. So at some point, Cedric has suddenly not only been told that he's going to get into trouble or he's got to nail me and what have you. He's been told that he can't pursue Stephen Thomas's, even though 5 years on, he's known as a criminal. We'll read through what we've got. I've got an email here that you've got a copy of, Brad, where it's to Jane Thomas on the 8th of December 2010. And it just said, and it's from Cedric, from his usual email address. "Thanks, Jane. A very sad catalogue of events. I'm afraid all I can offer at the moment of words are of support. Don't give up, and one day the truth will prevail. I am having the same problems getting anywhere to realise and accept clear facts about my case. Good luck, said." So this is December 2010, and I think he was helping Jane Thomas, as I said earlier.
What does he mean by his case?
Well, he's talking about, you've got to bear in mind, Operation Langham started with him in October 2008 over this 100,000 that he got profit on, and he took the money back from Mario Ciuccione, and he's been investigated for all his career crimes by DCI Norton and Ingrid Lee and Stephen Thomas, who was the officer in charge of my case. So this is 2 years on. My case has been going on for a year at this stage, and I'd only been interviewed once at this time in October 2009, and my bail had been put back 3 times, so I still wasn't interviewed again by this. But of course, as we said in previous programmes, Jane Thomas got in touch with me in February 2009 to tell me that Stephen Thomas had raped her and embezzled all this money and the rest of it. She then reported all that to the police that we've done in previous programmes in March 2009. Let me get the dates right. March 2010. And then, of course, the West Yorkshire Police has said there's no evidence. We know we're not, even though he's signed this court document in Harrogate on January the 2nd, 2007. We now know that, well, we'll talk a bit more about what other things we know. But we also know now that they got all this large inheritance tax of 40% of the 7 million. So, said it's just referring to his case, because obviously we've read his interview out when he was interviewed by Francis Norton and Charles Skidmore on April 2010, when he did no comment.
Yeah, but there was no right with his case.
Sorry?
There was no further action, wasn't there? With his case?
No, it was another year. It was another 9 months after that there was no further action into his case. But obviously, we're back to the situation that we know Cedric's a criminal. He's confessed to it. We know Stephen Thomas is a criminal. Cedric, Operation Lannan started with Cedric being investigated for his criminality. So I've just been totally stitched up, even though I'm the only person in the whole of the operation that's probably told the truth, other than some defence witnesses here in Crete. Of course, they cancelled all those out in Bradford because they're covering up all this Stephen Thomas stuff that's gone on. So anyway, that's just relating to that quick email from Cedric. So it's evidence that he was helping Jane Thomas from the beginning of December 2010. And then I sent an email to Richard Manning this week, copying in another 25 people, including Cedric. Yeah, now Richard Manning was the guy that was defending Stephen Thomas back in 2006 and 2007 and helping with his divorce. And when Stephen signed that deposition on the 2nd of January 2007, he was actually at the court when he signed it. And I don't know who it was who told me, but he said that when Stephen signed that and read out the statement to court, he put his hands in his head. He couldn't believe what Stephen was saying. So I've just gone back to Richard Manning now. He's for a kind of update with him. He left the lawyers he was working for at that time. I know he went to work at O'Gara's at Leeds. That was my first solicitors, and they also correctly defended John Jessup at my trial. So he's had a close link with Michael O'Gara, and then he's obviously ended up at this Ison Harrison, which, strangely enough, is where one of my poker lawyers, John Goodwin, now works. And I think O'Gara ended up working there, or at Cranmer and Cromer together. So they're all in bed together. Now, I'm not saying for a moment that John Goodwin knew what was going on when he was helping with a poker, but there's absolutely no doubt about it that Richard Manning and O'Gara and many other lawyers as well, including my defence team, knew that Stephen Thomas was a rapist, and also what we've found out, from what Cedric found out when he was helping Jane Thomas, which we've known since 2013 before the Greek trial, but of course none of it was allowed to be used in my trial because it was classed as family court issues. So anyway, I just wrote, Dear Mr. Manning, following on from my damning email of the horrific crimes of Simon and Stephen Thomas, evidence here is some more evidence, and I sent him 4 attachments. I've just included one in this email, which is quite important. And I said it was Tayyab Ali, a self-confessed career cop, Cedric Christie, who happens to be my brother, that obtained the details I have in 2013.
You missed the important point there, Ralph. You say it's a self-confessed, a career corrupt cop. Said you missed the word corrupt.
Cedric, yes.
No.
Sorry.
Carry on.
Okay, thank you. And so career corrupt cop said that obtained the details I have in 2013 before the Greek trial here. They both hid it from the unlawful UK trial in Bradford in 2015. So, and how we obtained this detail, because there was I know there's a lot of hours now, isn't there? We're into 40 hours of this program. But it's all there, and what I've said, and it all stacks up. It's like it's like a game of chess, isn't it? I can go back and know that I did the right things to protect what I'm saying now. So it's like I said, it's so easy when you're speaking the truth.
Funny enough, you just mentioned that point actually, because we've got another series running along as well. It's seldom repetitive. It's all relevant information that people have not heard before. And because one thing that we get, you asked me about correspondence that we had into the radio station, and we get quite a bit in relation to your case and the other case. But quite often they're saying, well, I don't quite understand about the case. But all we have, we just go back to them and say, just, the only way you can learn about it is go back to number one, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think, when we first started, I thought, what we're going to talk about for 2 hours. Now I don't think we have enough time for 2 hours and with the stuff that's coming through.
Well, I mean, it's proven to me in many interviews that I do. I was speaking to a chef. I know we're going off topic, sorry. And he said, I can't imagine talking for 2 hours, but I spoke to his wife beforehand and he could talk for England, right? It's a very important story, right? A very important story. And I'm not joking, we went for 2 hours and 40 minutes. So, but, we are talking about a lot more than that in this case. But the point being is that so much information. I mean, this is creating what I call a court of record, albeit we're not a court. But it brings it to the
light. Yeah, exactly. This is what should have gone on in Bradford. But of course, 8 weeks was not enough for. Well, you shouldn't have had a jury there for a 50 million sterling trial. It's absolutely ridiculous that when you think back about it, how we let it all go on. But we now know everybody's covering each other's asses, aren't they? And they're all the criminals. And what is it? They've got to listen to what we're saying, or they can. We're talking about Simon Bottomley's the biggest culprit in all this because obviously he interviewed Cedric for the Economic Crime Unit. He's known about Jane Thomas's situations since 2010, and then he's quite happily sends an email out saying he doesn't know anything about Operation Langan in November 2010. Or 2015, saying he's had nothing to do with the case. His name's all over it. And he's the one that was blackmailing Cedric and along with Romana Senior in March 2000 and when was that? 2014. So it's all there. What are they going to do about it? I mean, it's a corrupt police force. It's a corrupt judicial system. You've got corrupt brothers. Now it looks like paedophiles, all in the same pot. And then you've got little old me that spent 4 years in prison, back doing the job I was doing before I was put into prison, and it's unbelievable that a country like yours is quite happy for this to all go on. It's the same as Starmer and these rent boys. What's happened to that? That's not coming. What happened about the two guys that beat up the policewoman and the men at the Manchester hospital? Airport. Look what's happened to Lucy Letby, Lucy Connolly. When you're away from your country and you're living here and you hear all these things going on, there's worse things going on in your country than I would say are going on in North Korea, and nobody's doing anything about it. It wouldn't bother me if I never set foot in the country again, because I've been stitched up by my brother, my son, best friend Simon Thomas, because this wouldn't have happened if he hadn't introduced me to Stephen Thomas. And then you've got the Sue Watt involved in it, running around saying that I've nicked 11 million off Stephen Thomas because she can't read a contract. And so she says she's caught the money launderer to her counsel. All a pack of lies. She's been paid a salary for 2 or 3 years by the Thomases just to cover up all this money laundering thing. So wherever you look, there's just criminals, unfortunately.
Going back to the sorry, go on, carry on.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to 5 chief constables of West Yorkshire as well. But sorry, Ballas, what were you going to say?
No, I just want to mention about the Keir Starmer rent boy incident, right? It amazes me, this story, how it's been buried so much. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of news focused on Iran and that sort of stuff, but they all pled not guilty, yeah. But what also amazes me is that the state applied for a delay in the trial. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, well, of course. Well, look, there's a phone gone missing now, hasn't there?
Oh yeah, what's his name? I can't remember his name now.
To do with Mandelson, to cover up all the texts from between Starmer and Mandelson or whoever. Look, why don't they just get Mandelson's phone and double check it? All over my mobile phones. They were getting all my bank statements. They didn't get any of Stephen Thomas's money laundering statements with many people. On this 3.5 million. But
No. I posted
So,
about it.
you
I
know,
posted about it on social media. Morgan Sweeney, I forgot his name. That's who it was. But the thing is, it'd be
yeah,
on the cloud anyway.
yeah.
They could easily get it. But he reported it stolen, didn't he? But
Well, I mean, we're talking about Starmer. Starmer should have arrested Savile in 2010 at the latest. Ingrid Lee's protected him for all these years. Police officers have gone to his Friday morning club that he had every week at Roundy Park, his penthouse. But actually, serving police officers that were on duty at the time went there, and that was all about kids and drinking whiskey and what have you. It's quite, quite famous. They couldn't do anything about Savile. They can't do anything about Stephen Thomas, can't they?
Make sure you keep to your train of thought. But I exchange emails from Mark Williams Thomas, who does TV shows here on true crime and like he's very well known, and I think he was a former police officer, but he turned journalist. He's very well qualified, and he says to me, you know, about paedophiles. Yeah, he sent me an email the other day, saying they just wait for them to die, especially high profile ones, and then basically then they'll start reporting on it. Savile was a prime example. He was the one that exposed Savile. And they wait.
He's on with this Buckley case, isn't he? In Lancashire, where Lancashire police couldn't find the body in shallow water.
Yeah. He's going back over that. He's going through quite a few cases at the moment. He was telling me. Yeah.
Well, ask him to get in touch with me if you like. But at the end of the day, what they're doing, waiting for Stephen Thomas to die when he's confessed to it. 5 rapes, beating his sons, Christopher and James, and now it looks like he's. Well, we know there's various evidence of it now, and Cedric's known about this. He's actually raped Simon Thomas's young son, who conveniently happened to end up working for me in 2006 or 2007 for a year. And obviously, this guy's will be traumatized by all this.
I remember you sent me a message about that. How did you know about that?
Well, there's various Facebook cases, and this is what Cedric will have been found out from Jane Thomas in 2010, because Cedric probably didn't think it was right to discuss that with me because it's such a serious crime. But we know he's certainly known about it with Tayab Ali since June 2013, because Mark Callaghan, who was head of I'll call it the IOPC, it wasn't that then, but he was head of it in dealing with Dr. Femis, remember, with disclosure for my case over here. Well, it just so happens that Mark Callaghan, his brother is a guy called Mike Callaghan, who had a company called ChemDry, which was a carpet cleaning firm. And whenever clients of mine, when I was in the carpet trade in Bradford, wanted the carpets cleaning, I used Mike Callaghan, who lived at Horsforth, who carpeted his house. I think we carpeted Mark Callaghan's house as well. So when Mark Callaghan wrote back to Cedric saying that Dr. Femis wasn't happy with the case and the disclosure, of course, then I went back to Cedric. I was in prison at the time. I said, well, get hold of Mark Callaghan. I know his brother's Mike Callaghan and all the rest of it. And so Cedric managed to get some stuff that which was relating to blackening Stephen Thomas's name, which we've got now and we're showing. But this should have all come out. No wonder he couldn't be a prosecution witness at Bradford, because Simon Thomas wouldn't have got away with the 150,000 that we're discussing now on his case. No, I mean, it must be very stupid of Simon to put that count in, because that's really what's caught him out now. I mean, he's got 7 million gifted. Why is he bothered about 150,000 sterling? He's definitely 100% given his brother to try and make out he's gone into St. George's Retreat. Utter greed. Well, has he not got enough money?
I think there's a bigger problem. He basically, in his marital divorce, he basically didn't disclose that he sent you money.
Well, yeah, I mean, this week and next week, it's all there. The money they told the police went to me. Half of it didn't anyway. But anyway, shall we keep reading this?
Yeah, you got to my QCs. That's where you're at.
Yeah, my QC at the trial, Chris Trani and Stephen Grattage, refused to introduce the documents that I have now and the criminality of Simon and Stephen Thomas against me from 2009 by unbelievably stating Thomas family matters could not be introduced to a Crown Court trial. 5 years so I got 5 years sentence, and this is regards to Simon Thomas lies. You told Jane Thomas in an email to her, 11th of the 3rd, 2007, when you were working with Michael O'Gara, that the 40k sterling Stephen sent Yanis Damatakis, the CEO of New Century Homes, Crete, 22nd of the 1st, 2007, came from Stephen's loan account. When in Stephen's handwriting on the statement, Stephen, which I have a copy here below, clearly shows Stephen writes money from dad. So there you go. You know, this guy at the at the divorce or hearing, you know, has lied to Jane Thomas, or we could say Stephen Thomas has lied to him and he's lied to Jane Thomas. So anyway, so I said that one assumes that rather than you lying to Jane Thomas, 11th of the 3rd, 2007, you were lied to by Stephen yet again. You were also, by the 24th of the 12th, 2006, when Stephen sent me 24th of the 12th, 2006, the 79,892.39 euros, evidence below also. Besides this amount, his dad, Simon, and Stephen had sent another $1 million to Crete that year. This was directly to Manfred Dole, Hugh Clark Williams, who's deceased, Alan Thompson, New Century Home, Varone, which was a company I had with Stephen, or me. What do you have to say about that fact, sir? Have you been to the police yet? Are you en route? It's an emergency. Regards. So and obviously I included what the stuff that we know Cedric has had since 2013 in Tyre Valley, which was the Facebook page, which is from Matt Charles Tom, which is Simon's eldest son. And he's just put a comment to a person called Sarah Camerade, which must be one of her pals. And Matt just writes, "It happened to me by my uncle when I was 2.5 times before the world," meaning he was 2.5 years old, I think, to know that Stephen Thomas is a fucking paedophile. So, you know, this is Simon's son now. So Simon actually knows what Stephen Thomas has done to his own son. And the reply comes back from her to Matt Charles Thomas. "Some people are really sick, and even though I think they should all be shot in the head, I do know that acknowledgements that it happens and that it was never yours or another person's fault. But this sometimes just letting you know that helps. All the best."
Okay,
so
just a quick point, just for avoidance of doubt. We do not promote any incitement whatsoever here at Dreamcatcher Radio. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah. What do you mean by that, brothers?
About shooting people in the head.
No, of course, sure. Yeah, it's just what somebody said. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, they are sick, and you know, like you've got to think, haven't you, about the poor Matthew? You know, there's a lot of things that have gone on in that family that obviously I knew snippets of it when I introduced Jane to Cedric Christie, but you know, the scale of it seems to be on a much bigger scale than what I thought.
Yeah. Okay, what are we going on to next? Are we going back?
Okay, so yeah, we just read that, haven't we? Let me just get my adjustment. So that's gone to Manning. I haven't heard anything from him. I sent him another one again. So and then I sent the usual one to somebody that I do every week. Again, it's back to Simon Thomas, and copying in the usual 180 people it is now. You know, lawyers, policemen, CPS workers, the victims of theirs in the investments over here. So, and I sent this to Simon Thomas on the 27th. To Simon, attention, Simon Thomas, because I think I need to get his attention. Still not returning my calls, which he hasn't. Everything was laid out again to Stephen below nearly 5 years ago, when Watt exposed herself as complicit with you two to her counsel. Please, can you send me Matthew's number, as we need to reach out to him, of course, because if he's been through this experiences with his uncle, he needs some help, healing, counselling, whatever it is. And, you know, I feel very sorry for him. I mean, when we talk, well, it looks like Simon and Stephen need a lot of help as well. So that's kind of what happened this week, Gladys.
Yeah, on that point, yeah, I'm just thinking in my head, if Stephen, which I very much doubt, or even Simon would call you, What would you say to them?
Well, I think you've got to say, let's get all this cleared up once and for all.
It's not as if they're going to suddenly.
I suppose what you're saying is I should be absolutely shouting and ranting their head off, and you bastards, you've put me in prison, you've ruined my family life, you've ruined my children's life, you've caused all this upset in Crete. But it's happened, hasn't it? It's like I've said from day one, it's not my mess, it's other people's mess. And there's hundreds of people's mess it is now. I'm just saying the same thing. I was just doing my job in Crete, building houses. Look what Simon Thomas said. He said, I built the house shoddily on the same, and that was in 2007. He's telling that to my jury in 2015. What did Alan Thompson say? Oh, we built many houses for Ralph. He always pays on time. We lend each other money, and he's a great guy. So, it's just complete lies again, isn't it? So what did I say? It was just, well, what I'm saying, the programme's helping. What are you going to do about it? Or what is it? Well, they should be arrested, shouldn't they, really?
Yeah.
That's not,
I mean, the guy has, it's still gobsmacked me anyway. He went into the family court proceedings saying that he raped his ex-wife. That's just unbelievable. But I can't imagine him at this late stage in the game suddenly saying, "Okay, Ralph, you got me. How do I remedy this situation?" It just ain't gonna happen, is it?
No. I mean, there's another quick email I've got here from Cedric on Saturday, the 11th of May, 2013. I'm in prison at this time, and he just says, Jane, well done. Stay on the case. It's going well in Greece at the moment too. No one can ever change the truth. Hope James is okay. So James had been at that time beaten up by his father, whilst I'm in prison over in Crete, based on his lies. That was actually found out. So
is that from Simon Thomas? Is that from Simon Thomas?
This is from Jane Thomas to Cedric. Yeah, on the 11th of May 2013. I'm in prison, and he's saying the truth. Cedric's actually saying no one can ever change the truth. Well, he changed the truth, didn't he, in 2014? Cedric should be putting his hands up. Yeah, I'm sorry and what have you, but they can't because he's self-confessed, isn't he? And there's another one here, Thursday.
He's self-confessed. He's self-confessed about basically being a corrupt cop. But I actually believe that email was disingenuous at best and missed off a lot of the true facts. Yeah. He was looking for outreach, I guess. But I imagine if he can do all those little things that he said he did in order to get people convicted, I imagine there's a lot more to it because he was in the service quite a long time as well.
But it wouldn't surprise me if Simon Bottomley said, "Look, write that. You're not going to get into trouble for it. Just write that. It just gets it off our back a bit. He's got some immunity, hasn't he? They've all just done it together. There's another one here. This is 9th of May, 12:49, 2013. Jane, well done. They can't contend with the truth, can they? I'm doing well out here too. If you don't get a reply, resend and ask them to acknowledge. It's still no reply, then send a recorded delivery letter. Cheers, said, and a kiss. So Cedric's on my side here working, and he says they can't contend with the truth. Well, Cedric can't contend with the truth. Nobody, on that side. I mean, my ex-wife, Deborah, the first wife, who became like the sister I never had, she can't contain the truth. No, it's just, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think with Cedric, he created quite a quagmire really for himself and didn't know how to get out of it, and just thought that he's just going to tell
all these police officers, the criminals themselves, brothers.
No, I hear you about that. We've discussed this many times on the radio station. They're not all criminals, but I think ignorance is sometimes bliss, but also I think what happens is that you end up towing the company line to save others as well. And I think he was in a big loop of people that had a lot of things against them.
Yeah, Andrew Watt, who went with Cedric and falsified evidence in 2014 and came here, is a criminal. And he's Cedric's colleague. So, and anybody that's not doing anything about Stephen Thomas, where it's the police officers, the ones. What about and back to Matthew Thomas? He reported this to the police officers. I've got a name somewhere. We'll talk about that a bit later. But he reported this, the rape by Stephen Thomas on him in 2011. We'll talk about that in a minute. I've just got a Facebook here from Matthew Thomas that's dated the 18th of April 2025. So it's just under a year old. And he's just put The Phoenix Rises, original artwork by MC Thomas, which must be him. Even in my darkest of days, a bright day will come after that. You are not what happens to you. You are what you become. Don't let your past define you. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. From out of the darkness and into the light. Be the person you know you can be. The best is yet to come. Trust me, I'm a living proof. And fair play to him to write that. And from what he's been through, it's like I kind of got to put all this prison crap behind me because I've got to get on with my life. So you got to be positive, and there's a lot of darkness in the world, but even in prison, you can still find a lot of light. And I wish Matthew all the best. If he's got any knowledge of these radio programs, please ask for him to get in touch with me through you, brothers.
Yeah, the avoidance of doubt is really simple. Email hello@dreamcatcherradio.uk.
But you can see Stephen Thomas has abused Simon Thomas's son. Why hasn't Simon Thomas done anything about it? Because he's probably an abuser himself, and it probably goes back in history with the family. So it's.
But you do hear about stories about rich families and weird things they do, isn't it? If you've got so much money, where do you? You're not
talking about the royal family, are you? This time,
I'm not talking about anybody. I'm just saying, there's plenty of books out there. Is that when you're rich, where do you get your next adrenaline rush from? That sort of stuff. It's just there's enough evidence out there. It's just human psychopathy, really. Anyway, we obviously
go back to that Simon Thomas document.
We have not got time for that right now. We're going to have to go to break. And so if you'd like to play or announce your first song.
Yep, I'm going to, it's Westlife, You Raise Me Up. It's a gospel song, actually, this. And I was brought up as a believer and I've learned how to ride stormy seas and climb mountains. And it's like with what Matthew's just written, I'm the same. You got to be positive about this. So it's Westlife, You Raise Me Up.
Okay, that's what she said. Here we go.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burden be, and I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can't stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulder. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Dreamcatcher Radio is about capturing and creating dreams through music, chat, and debate. Empowering expression, enriching society. A go-to place for unsigned musical talent. A radio station which listens to its audience. Free speech, vibrant, engaging. Stream worldwide 24/7. Events, competitions, promotions. Always keen to have a listening ear. Contact us. hello@dreamcatcherradio.com.
Dreamcatcher Radio.
We are back. What an old song that is. I don't know how many years that is, but I've not heard that for a long time. I actually just checked the playlist. We haven't got it on a playlist, so I've added it to the playlist.
Oh, that doesn't cost you money, does it?
No, we pay annual licenses, so it doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so you wanted to talk about something before we move on.
Yeah, I'm just going to mention that obviously we know that Jane Thomas reported the criminality of Stephen Thomas's rape back in 2006, and the first person that she did that to was DC Sally Blissett. There was a long list then of officers that helped her. Then there was the woman Manning that was helping her later on, the one that arrested her in her house and that time. And also in 2011, Matthew Thomas reported the crimes of Stephen Thomas against him to DC 807 Rebecca Norton, or North, I think it is, yeah. So, you know, these are crimes that are being reported to police officers. Okay, they may be of a lower rank, but once they've gone up the chain to the likes of Bottomley, Romana Senior, Chris Rowley, even D.I. Taylor, even Cedric Christie, if you want, even though he's investigating them himself, you know, they've just been blocked. So, which is just wicked. But anyway, I just wanted to mention the names of the officers because it's they're incriminated.
Go ahead. Those are the ones that you wanted to mention, is it?
Well, there's a whole list of them, isn't there? In that criminality of that Cedric did, there must have been 20 officers named
in your email distribution list, you got loads.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're all. There's 180 on it. I'll be picking another 2 or 3 up this week, no doubt. But anyway, yeah, we're on with this Simon Thomas statement, and we just got up to this where he says, "Are you going to read it, Brad? That's where you knew me since 1980."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's crack on with that. Knew Ralph from 1980, mid that year, known in excess of 30 years, until the credit crunch in autumn 2007 and mid 2008. I think the credit crunch actually started in 2008. He's referring to the housing market. And didn't really kick in until 2009. He has always been a trustworthy person as far as I am concerned. That's Simon Thomas. Right.
Yeah,
how
so
things-
so
how
so I had a
things-
credit crunch. We had a credit crunch, and I became untrustworthy.
Well, I think it's more to do with the money as well. The
Yeah.
fact that they need to get rid of the money.
Yeah.
I am a company director, or was, he says, of West Tex Carpets. This was a company originally owned by my father, shareholder with two others, sold in 2005. And that released money to me and others, question mark, doesn't say who it is. I was part of the management buyout, so we bought it actually. So, okay, his dad sold it to them, right, which then released cash to my late father. One of the beneficiaries was Stephen Thomas's brother, from my father passing monies on rather than direct. And he says indirectly. My father died in November 2007, and before he died, he made a large gift of monies to Stephen. So did he not gift them equally then?
Yes, he did.
Oh, right, okay. The Stephen was going through an acrimonious divorce with his wife. Jeez. The yeah, okay, fine. We'll move on. Stephen now does not about it says does not know exactly where he is in the UK and spoke to him. Huh? What is that? What is that?
It's just Stephen. I don't know exactly where he is, but he did speak to him the day yesterday. This is when the day before he was in the witness box.
Well, okay. I went to see my mother and I went for a drink with both of them. I know where he is living. He is living in Shipley. To my knowledge, he is going to be a witness in these proceedings. I haven't been given a list. Wife went out.
To my knowledge, he's not going to be a witness in these positions. Yeah. Stephen Thomas
Oh, yes,
was
sorry.
not going to be a witness.
Not, yeah, I missed that
Yeah.
bit. No. To my knowledge, he is not
Yeah.
going to be a witness. You're right. Okay. Wife went out to Crete and it looked beautiful in 2004. This is when we saw the first property we were involved in. Wife fell in love with an apartment which she was shown, to my knowledge, by Ralph and Jane. Ralph was in partnership with Hugh Clark Williams. Wife went out to Crete and it looked, oh, no, it's the same thing. Land in Crete with benefit of hindsight. I did the transactions with Ralph on trust. I paid an initial amount and then upgraded. You had agreed to pay 120, I'm just reading what it says there, 128k euros from the apartment, but 80k would go on the document and 50k to the seller. Note that one of the original purchase price was correct. What does all that mean?
Yeah, it's just telling you that the price was 128,000, 80k would be on the contract, and then the other 50,000 would be cash black. So he knew how it worked out there.
Right, okay. This is he affirms this. This is how business is done in Greece. It was a way to reduce what is owed in tax. The initial sum, there's a common theme there with tax, isn't there? The initial initial sum that I paid by transfer was 80,000 euros. The second sum was paid as an upgrade and not as any cash. Certainly not that amount of cash. I didn't deal in cash. Brother Stephen, I have no knowledge of my brother's dealings. 80k cash brought in cash into the country with Mario. What's that?
Well, he's been cross-examined because Mario's gone in the witness box the day before and said that he brought 40,000 back with Stephen. So it was 80,000 in total in cash to Manchester Airport. That was for Simon Thomas. So my QC there, Grattage, has just cross-examined about it. He says he's got no idea about it and about the 80k, even though it was for him. I have no idea. All my transactions were made by bank transfer, not by cash, but it's complete nonsense.
What, he gave you cash as well?
No, he's I can't remember. There was a time, must have been March, maybe 2009, but I can't remember the exact date. But Mario and Stephen Thomas took 40,000 each cash back for them in euros and gave them to Simon Thomas for. It might have been the 80,000 K that we spoke about that they made on the Liz Trust deal last week. We've got a list of all the figures in the next part of where it went, so it might be here there. There's a lot of double accountancies that's gone on here with these two brothers.
Okay. Manfred Hill being developed by Manfred Dahl and invested in him, met him through Ralph Christie and other men. What does he mean by other men?
I don't know.
Okay.
Met him through Ralph Christie and other men. Well, I think he might. There's a guy called Dresler. I don't think he actually met them, but he was the fifth shareholder in Manfred Hill. So I think that's all it is, really.
Okay. Bought the villa through Phoenix Villa, and in order to buy that, had to sell property in, I don't know how you pronounce that.
Almerida.
Okay.
Almerida.
To put into contract the one property, Ralph took that property, and then I added an amount of money to upgrade to the villa, engage a solicitor to help with part exchange. I don't know, believe I did. I don't. Well, I don't know what I mean.
Yeah, it's my QC scheme if he engaged with a solicitor. But of course, he had a solicitor, and he spoke. The whole house went into his name. It was making early on that it was a problem. Alan Thompson said it was a great success in his reference to it in 2009. So it's like he said last week that he's just trying to back out that I'm a bad person to the jury.
Yeah, he's trying to muddy things to make it all confusing, as if things were ultimately done under the table and that sort of stuff. I get that. Property in Almerida in your name. The deeds I received after 12 months were for the property in part exchange without notary or solicitor. It was all done on a handshake and trust of friends of many years. Normally a good way to do business, really, in some respects. But saying that, when you fall out like this, then it's good faith goes out.
Well, I'm falling out with him. He's tried to hide all this money, hasn't he? That's what the problem is. And now, we even know that my defence, Tayyab Ali, knew that Stephen Thomas had raped Simon Thomas's son, and Simon Thomas is in the witness box. It's unbelievable. So Alison Thomas had a fling with Hugh Clark Williams when she was over here, because she actually made a pass at me when she bought the apartment. Did Alison, saying that because Simon Thomas had a fling with a Cossack Carpets representative in 2001, she wanted revenge, and I just kind of laughed it off and shoved. She said, "No, I'm not getting involved in that. Simon's a great friend," and what have you. Anyway, so then she turned to Hugh Clark Williams and had a fling with him, and his daughter Holly ended up having a bit of a fling with Jason, my cousin. So there's some strange things that were going on and around it. So
well, that's what it is.
The families.
Sounds very incestuous, but also that's what people do, though, isn't it? I don't think it's odd that
Well, she wanted revenge. She just
Yeah, the revenge maybe cut his willy off. I'm only joking. Did you hear? No, I'm not really going to tell you this story, actually. Don't worry about it. I did think it was odd that you could do so. I did not instruct solicitors, as were all carried out in this wave of things being done in a different way. And I went quite foolishly. I was not intending to limit my tax bill. Actually, just go backwards slightly. He talks about he had solicitors.
Yeah.
Before.
He did. He said he appointed one in Athens, didn't he? But he didn't need to, because I was perfectly capable of doing the whole job for him. And this house was a tremendous success. It's probably one of my greatest achievements here. But he's got, he's been found out now for why he did all this and why he introduced Stephen Thomas to me. And he says I was not intending to limit my cash tax bill. Well, they used to have what they called gypsy money from West Yorkshire Carpets, where I don't know what happened. I think one week one Saturday of the year, they opened up for gypsies to come in and buy a lot of remnant ends. And he used to always say, "Oh, I've got great business with the gypsies today. I got this bag of cash and what have you." So there was all sorts of things going on with him, you know. So, but he's come across to my joy as if he's perfectly squeaky clean, and you know, butter wouldn't melt in his mouth.
I was a businessman and bought properties before. None these of them. This was basically done until Plaka. It was done on a handshake. I was investing in plots of land and getting a return, knowing that tax was not being paid until flipped to the final purchaser. Okay, I see what you're saying there. The barrister's putting it to...
Sorry, the QC is asking him that, and he's saying not to my knowledge.
Yeah,
but of course he knew exactly how it was going.
Yeah, before he mentions that about tax. Anyway, again, in this, what we've just read out. Okay, I see what's happening here. Okay, let's break this up, right? You do the next paragraph, I'll do the response. All right, I did not, this is you.
Okay, I did not ask enough questions, but I went along with this medieval system. Only when I got deep in Plaka did I realise what it was. You know, we know it's a medieval system. It's great, and long may it not change. And then he says, this was not done with my intention to hide a paper trail.
Given concerns...
Yeah,
no, that's right. We'll just flip it one by one. We'll do use a paragraph after one. Given concerns rising at the time, went on to invest in St. George's Retreat, had concerns the year before, so why carry on investing? That's the question. I honestly can't answer that. The concerns were allied by Mr. Christie that this was how it had to be done. There will be great returns, mind focused on the UK, and this was done more for enjoyment than investment. All right, he's doing it as a hobby. Okay. All right. Go on.
Yeah. But he did get great returns, you know, as we know. Brother also involved, and this gave him comfort. Well, he introduced me to his brother. It happened in a wine bar in Basel, in Baildon, which is where they bought St. George's. The deal was done. Ralph Christie, John Jessup, and my brother were all saying what a wonderful opportunity it was. I foolishly went along with it. When I look back at it, I was mad, because it was different people saying St. George's Retreat and others saying it was AIM, and so I was mad to pass the money on. First person to draw me into St. George's Retreat was my brother Stephen in early 2009. Brother first bought me this opportunity, not Ralph Christie. So he's admitting his brother's taken him to St. George's Retreat. Now, of course, we know that Sue Watt, in her minutes to her council in March 2021, says, I knew Mr. Christie, I exposed to Stephen Thomas, Ralph's biggest investor, that there was problems with St. George's Retreat. So this is all captured now by Watt starting this nonsense in St. George's Retreat. And as I said, there was no problem with St. George's Retreat. It was a great deal. We'd have kept the properties, made some money as a holiday village, and then sold the properties on. So it was it was a good deal. And so the pressure came from a meeting with Ralph Christie, John Jessup, and my brother. Mr. Christie was leading the charge. It was not my brother who sold it to me, he says. He was purely a conduit to the investment. He had invested a similar amount to my knowledge, a lot of money, but Stephen said, we need your money as well. It was Ralph Christie was running the show, so Simon's saying. And it's not correct that Stephen sold the project. Well, he just said his wife said she loved it, and he bought it on what she was saying. So, you know, he's in a bit of a mess himself, isn't he, in the witness box? I'm not surprised. But Ralph Christie was doing the coercion. My brother was involved, and so that made me feel of safety. But all of this situation was my brother, who was a salesman.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because your brother basically, you know, as I said last time, Ryan, Stephen and it's evidence here, they're both sophisticated investors, so they can't act so innocent.
Yeah, Yeah, and they knew that they're just covering the money, aren't they? All my investors, everybody else we've spoken about, all the Plackers Palace shareholders, all the other 10 people that had mortgages, one going through the bank at the time, are all now totally out of pocket. I spent 4 years in prison on a 7-year sentence for crimes I haven't committed. It's just pure evil and wicked what they've done. And then to try and get another 150,000 off me and a 5-year sentence when we spoke about the profits he made on all the investments last week, so we don't need to go back through that for the listeners. But so then it says that my brother was part of the deal, but he did not sell it to me again because he was part of it. It was one of the reasons I didn't get involved. So he's just I've told my QC what to ask him because there's just nothing wrong with this deal. And it goes on to Plackers Palace. Do you want to read that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, carry on.
Okay, 2006 to look at a project says you invested 50k pounds, and it's just correct. It wasn't it euros? Yes, it was euros. Must have been 50,000 euros. Reed, who was the prosecuting QC, concedes it was. Clearly a substantial amount of money to develop the hotel. It was clear it needed it. 50k was part of sharing the development. It's true. I agreed to buy a half share. No, that's not incorrect. Why say that it is in your statement? It was a share. I thought there was 40 or 50 people involved.
Yeah, because obviously
it goes on to two
even with
shares.
40 or 50 people, but even with 40 or 50 people, that 50k, that's never going to be enough money anyway.
Well, no, this was the original purpose of. We got the 2 million from the 40 people putting 50k in. And then obviously we employed Sue Watt for a couple of years to get the EU funding. And then Howard Tennant was a big enough investor to have probably made the difference up if we'd have asked them to, because the whole project finished would have been about 50 million. And then I also had the Perez Bank would have given me a loan for it. So it's not, everything was we should have gone ahead, really. And then he's saying Stephen Thomas was not the person who was selling me Plackers Palace. It was Ralph. Well, of course it was Stephen. Stephen Thomas. They're denying Stephen Thomas was ever any some sort of partner. They was making out in all his police statements, along with Sue Watt and Michael and Kimberly and Simon, that he was just an investor like the rest of them. And he says Stephen was an investor working closely with Ralph. Then Ralph and Stephen fell out in the summer of 2009. Various actions taken by your brother. The Greek authorities froze the assets in the bank accounts and Plackers Palace. And Simon Thomas says, I don't know. Well, of course he knew. He made a statement on the 6th of October 2009 stating all that. And then, of course, in the family court in November 2021, he said he didn't become a prosecution witness until November 2014. And then another load of nonsense he's told us, he said his dad bought Manford Hill, which we spoke about earlier, and his dad's never visited Manford Hill. He's never met Manford. He's never had a power of attorney over it. His dad's never bought anything. All he's done is given the sons money to hide it over here. So, that's just another downright lie he's told in the family court. So and then we go on 150k. This is interesting. 150k into St George's Retreat. I didn't transfer it to Ralph Christie. The money went into my brother's account. The money then was forwarded to my brother because of what was told by Ralph. I haven't seen any documentation to say there was money transferred to Ralph Christie. So this is a stupid thing. It wasn't. They didn't even send the 150,000 sterling to me. It went for the 192,000 euro exchange with Hockley that was arranged by Alan Thompson. Alan Thompson's become a prosecution witness at Bradford now that was found out about Keir. So, it's just a complete lie about this 150k that I got a 5-year sentence for. That in itself, falsifying evidence, is life imprisonment. And I've served my sentence for this. Anyway, I won't get into it. No paperwork to say why transferring money to my brother. I owed my brother 78,000. And then he says, but I didn't owe him any money. Well, I mean, they can't remember, can they? Because it's like, this is like 6 years after the transfers. And Chris is asking me whether we should go further. I think he's asking Grattage. And Grattage says there's no need. Well, they should have gone a lot further, shouldn't they? It is not correct that it was about tax evasion and lack of paperwork and what went wrong because of the credit crunch. I don't believe that is correct. I didn't become dishonest because of the credit card, and it wasn't about tax evasion. It's just a known fact that everybody in Greece avoids tax evasion, commits tax evasion. It's a hobby here, So obviously, in a British court, it would look bad if you were saying it, but it's just the way. It's just the Greeks are experts.
There's two aspects. There's tax evasion and tax avoidance. But also they've already discussed this. Again, in this prior in cross-examination, where he talks about tax and he talks about moving money. So he's like, it's like an oxymoron. He's reversing what he prior said.
Yeah, and we still don't know if he's paid the 40% death duty yet. He admits his dad died 2 years after the gift. So there's 3 million. And if he's talking about his one tax avoidance, well, the biggest tax avoidance is the 3 million that they're probably both still in revenue today by bringing criminal charges against me.
Okay. Carry on.
The financing for developments were difficult and lots went broke, and that's why he hadn't received any money. That's not correct. Simon Thomas is saying, of course it's correct, because I can't trade without any bank accounts. Investments can win or big or lose big. Yes, I understand that. Went into the investments with your eyes open. He says it was absolutely insanity.
Yeah, but he's a sophisticated investor, right? He's already said that he does investments.
Yeah.
And you could say, well, you probably missold it. This is what he would say, I imagine. And he was attracted by the huge returns, which he actually benefited from, which we discussed on previous episodes.
Yeah, and he said it because of he thought I became dishonest because of the recession in 2009. Well, he bought Manfred Hill in 2006, which before his brother lied about Simon Thomas not having any money in Crete. And like I mentioned last week, it's still an ongoing project. If I was dishonest, I haven't been dishonest to anyone, because everything that I said would have happened and should have happened, really. But anyway, so he said it's absolute insanity. Yeah, told no documents, everything done with handshakes. Had I known it was to evade taxes, I would not have touched it with a barge pole. I didn't give a lot of thought to that, to what I was doing, depth of deals I was doing elsewhere. Insanity, but that is how it was played out, unfortunately. So, it's all about this evading taxes. Like I just mentioned, it's all to do with them evading the tax on the death duty. Multiple projects going on, all going to be wonderful returns, and I didn't want to go any deeper than a house. Well, happy with Manfred Hill. St George's retreat broke the camel's back. 150k passed on, and that was the thing which I stopped it in my tracks at that junction. No, it's because Sue Watt told Stephen Thomas that it was a fraudulent deal, as she admitted to her counsel in 2021. This is why it all stopped. Wonderful investment opportunities. It was Ralph who was telling me about them. I only say development with my own property. I never visited St George's Retreat. As far as I know, he stayed there once. My wife had gone there on a number of times when I hadn't. She said it was fantastic, as was Placius Palace. So it's his wife that sold him the project, not even Stephen Thomas. Investment was €100,000 rather than 150,000 euros in St George's. He says I parted with 150k. Well, I'm sorry. He parted with 100,000 that went direct to Yanis Damatakis, the CEO of New Century, in March 2009. A month before, this 150,000 went to his brother Stephen. So they're totally up a gum tree with this. They're well found out about that. And anything to add on to that, Bradis? Or
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
Okay. And now we've got the list of all the monies that Stephen Thomas emailed to Susan Watt. Yeah. And the list is extensive. There's all sorts in there. It goes over 2 million. Well, I got cleared of even taking 1.1 million off him in the Greek trial. So this is a complete lie. And this is dated from Stephen Thomas to the Cretan Courier, Crete, which was Cretan Courier info at btinternet.com, which was Sue Watt. She was the editor of the paper. And this was on the 20th of May 2009, 11:54 in the morning. Subject Ralph Christie.
Yeah. Is this money that Stephen Thomas sent to you?
Sent to me, yeah. Well, what he's saying he sent to me, yeah. This is all the transactions. So Sue Watt has told him St George's is dodgy, and Ralph ripped you off for, I think she said, 5 million to a council. And around the 10th of May. So, okay, if that's the case, then I'll give you a list, Sue. Come and work for me and me and Simon. We'll pay you a salary. I'll tell you what he's done, and then we'll get a criminal case against him. But of course, Sue Watt will have been unaware of them hiding this for tax reasons. She won't have been aware of the rape confession, I don't think, at that time. She certainly was aware of it by February 2010, but still continued to work with him because she was going all over Europe with the Serious Fraud Squad and Interpol, Stephen Thomas's Athens lawyer, Voltus, to get me put in prison here with the Keir Starmer letter. So, whether she knew about the criminality of the Thomas families at this date, I don't know, but she should have. When she found out about it, she should have just backed off. But then, lo and behold, she turns up as a prosecution witness at Bradford, just as a normal member of the public, and is found by the judge. The judge admits that she gave dishonest evidence in the witness box. So it starts, Dear Sue, list of transactions in Crete to do with Ralph Christie and investments. Now, investments. They had separate investments. They had a separate Bank of Cyprus account here that their mother put a load of money in at some point that was arranged through his Barclays Wealth Bank. I don't know what went into that. But okay, so it says the first one, 400,000 loan, Piraeus Bank. Money's paid to Ralph Christie, September 06. Well, I'm sorry, that certainly didn't come to me. That went to Hugh Clark Williams because it was a total amount of Hugh Clark Williams was 800,000. That's half of the money. The other half he paid from his own bank account around the same date. But included in that is 4 townhouses in Almeria. So that money did not come to me. First lie. And also it's September 06. He signed his deposition the 2nd of January 2007, saying no money from his dad or Simon or himself had come to Crete.
You mean affidavit, not deposition?
Yeah, affidavit. Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Right.
40,000 paid to Mr. Forsyth. Monies Ralph owed to them. 2007. Well, Mr. Forsyth was a guy that became a suspect, as far as I know, in April 2014. Now. Why would he pay Mr. Forsyth 40,000 for money? Mr. Forsyth and Stephen Thomas and a guy called Eddie Zawiski were doing all sorts of deals. They used to play golf together at Holland Hall and at Bradford Golf Club. And it was just Malcolm Forsyth went to Brian's house a couple of times. He was known to the family. So it had just been some deal that they did between them. So the top two, I have not received that money, and this has all been evidence in the High Court in Greece in October 2013. It was so easy to defend. So then we go 26,500 paid to Adrian Clark. Monies Ralph owed to them 08. I didn't owe Adrian Clark 28,500. This is to do with buying Adrian Clark out of Keira, which we've got the signed receipt where Adrian Clark's name was on as a person that put 142,000 into. So that's wrong. 84,000 monies owed to them April 09. I don't know who them is, unless he means Adrian Clark again. Well, Adrian Clark was not part of the trial, and Stephen Taylor conveniently said Adrian Clark would have been part of the trial, but we couldn't find him. Well, he's got a big business in the centre of Leeds. So more lies. More part of the cover-up. Right, 100,000 New Century. Ralph, the retreat, March 09. Yeah, correct. That is a payment. Didn't go to Ralph, it went to New Century, which we evidenced in his list from his bank statement a couple of weeks ago. So it's still not gone to me. Right, 164,000, Mr. Hockley. Now, it doesn't say sterling or euros there. Money Ralph owed said he paid New Century's retreat for STSCT. Well, his brother's just said it's 150,000. Stephen said in May 2009 it's 164,000 to Hockley. What's going on here? You know, I've been convicted of 150,000. That means that the indictment's wrong, even though I never seen it. So this is how they've tried to. In 2009, he's telling this to Sue Watt, and then come 2015, the figures don't quite balance up. But there's 150,000 I gave Stephen on the 21st of April 2009 that I knew nothing about. Oh, we'll just chuck that into the pot then, and we'll get him convicted for that. This is exactly what they did. Okay, 50,000 Placis Palace paid to Ralph. That's probably true, but he's got his share still in that, so that's not lost. 95,000 Cambia land. Okay. I think he was involved in the Cambia land that I've still got here today, to be fair. But if you put the 95,000 in, he'll have taken that back and put it into Zakros, as confirmed by him in either his Greek deposition or his West Yorkshire Police statement. So, you know, I'm not arguing with that. 142,500 Kira land, Yanni Phoenix Villas, Alan Thompson. Yeah, we know about that. You know, again, nothing to do with me. But he's telling Sue Watt as if I've stolen it. 407 to Zakros.
So just out of interest, you're saying it's nothing to do with you. Where did that money go? Do you know?
Yeah, it went to Alan Thompson. Alan Thompson's gave us. We read out the receipt last week. The one that had the court stamp on it. Right.
Okay. Yeah. So you wasn't involved in that transaction.
Yeah, I put 142,500 in. So did Adrian Clark.
Right.
So
what I mean is the money that he's saying he's deposited.
Yeah, and this is for Kira land. Yeah, the receipt was for 570,000. So 142,500 is exactly a quarter of that amount.
Yeah.
And there's 4 partners, and he's already started to pay back Adrian Clark as into a payments above for his share. So okay, 93,000 new build paid to RC the 1007. That's quite true, because we did end up having 10 houses. We've spoken about his 4. I had 4 separately. We did buy 2 more together. So 93,000 would have been part of the half of the new build, and I paid the other half. So yeah, I agree with that. 30,000 deal paid to RC 27th of the 807. Well, I mean, I don't know what that was, but it was all accounted for anyway in the Greek court, because obviously Dr. Slimis Sophos had been through all this. 86,000 the murder house, the 10 paid. Okay, that's correct. So I've mentioned the 4. I had the 4 he had, and we did buy another 2. So these are the other 2. So 86,000, what he calls the murder house, and everybody knows what that is.
Just to pre-warn you, we've got another 2 minutes, Rob. Yeah.
Okay. Oh well.
Carry on as you are. There's loads more you've got to go here.
Yeah, well, we've got the 77,500 Neil land. Well, I shared some land in Placket with Neil that wasn't part of the house that Simon had and Paul Chan had the house built on. So I think he did buy Neil Waite out for 77,500. So that's quite true. Neil Waite ended up as a prosecution witness at Bradford. Well, didn't turn up in Crete, and he actually agreed that these payments were correct. And you know, he lasted about. Well, I don't think he even went in the witness box. It was so easy because he knew that he'd made a lot of money here. Did Neil Waite out of me? 197,500. The 10. Okay, so this is again now on top of the 400,000 at the above that I said went to Hugh Clark Williams. This is accounting for another 200,000 of it. So he's up to 600,000 now out of the 800,000 he gave to Hugh Clark Williams. So I agree with that. Well, the next song we're going to have, Bradders, is Come On Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners. And of course, me and Cedric had great fun when I can't remember how old we were when that came out, 16, 17, 18. And we're, you know, young, I don't know if it's a class as a punk tune or new wave or whatever, but, you know, all the discos that time were buzzing with sort of music like that. And Cedric's affectionate nickname actually became Dexy, and there was everybody knew Cedric as Dexy. All the close friends. There was probably about 7 or 8 of us: John Nunn, Paul Crumpton, Clive Smythe, no longer with us. Nicholas Craven, Andrew Dix, Marriott. A big group of lads, and we all had our silly nicknames for each other. And mine was Stein and various other names, and he was always known as Dex, affectionately as Dexy. So I'm playing that song, and it says, "Come on, Eileen." So come on, Cedric, let's get to the bottom of this and get some closure. I don't know what the consequences are, but I'm not really bothered about the consequences, because I've had consequences of things that should never ever have happened to me. So that's the next song, Gladys. "Come on, Eileen," or "Come on, Ced."
By Midnight Runners, right?
That's it, yeah.
Okay.
Dexys Midnight Runners, yeah.
That's definitely not on our playlist, but I'll find it for you now. I'm just searching. Actually, it is. I just found it. Okay, let's play that now. Okay, we are back. We are back. Ralph's in sunny or perhaps wet Crete. The and we were going through the financial transactions. Then we're going to move on to something else. So Ralph, carry on.
Yeah, okay. I think we did this 95,500 at number 5, didn't we, just before the break? So So then on his list, he's got 5,000 for number one, 22nd of the 9th, 07. That could be one of the 8 houses that we shared where we've done the basements or something like that. Normal cost doesn't go to me; it goes to a share of the house or his house.
So with some of these payments, then I was going to mock it at one stage, saying why does nothing say £3.99? But some of these payments are actually for specific tasks, not necessarily house transactions, as in buying, selling.
Yeah, I mean, we put air conditioners in the house. We might do a basement up of a house rather than just leave it. We might do the garden. We might furnish an apartment. If we're going to rent it out, something like this. So what he's obviously he's just sent a whole list to Sue Watt of all the payments he's made. Now, I haven't totted this list up, but originally he was saying that I owed him over 2 million. Andrew West, remember, said it was 3.5 million, and to the judge on the 9th of January 2004. It's all just a pack of lies. So a lot of this money didn't even. I know what came to me and what didn't. And obviously, if I'm saying that we need to pay for something for a house, he's got to send the money because it's just a partnership. So, and bear in mind, he sent money to other people other than me. He put some money into a project with his brother called Lentas. He had a bank account here that he had with his mother, which I think he put a few million into that because he got a very good rate with Bank of Cyprus, which has now been taken over by Piraeus Bank. And he was doing his own little deal. So all this idea of this 3.5 million coming to me is just nonsense. And by the time we got this list, this list started the criminal case in the UK because it's obviously shown this to D.I. Taylor the following month, or Sue Watthouse because she's working for him. And this is what kind of started the whole case. So I was never shown this list. But it was never part of the Bradford trial. I showed it to Femis, I think, for the Greek trial here, and when we went through it, it was evidence that he'd given me 1,100,000 and something, and that was for specific projects. And that's why Sue Watt and Stephen Thomas couldn't turn up at the court because they basically lied about me embezzling them money.
Sorry, where did you get to on your list on this spreadsheet? On this, it's an email.
I'm at the 5,000 number one, aren't I? 22nd of the 9th, 07.
All right, you missed the one that I don't recall you mentioned. One for Murder House. What's that?
Well, I think we did just touch on that. Unfortunately, there was a house that we bought off. There was a couple that were actually murdered here, and it was in the news. It was because we don't get crime like that. I think it was like 2006. So we managed to buy that house. We took it at a knockdown price because of that reason. So yeah, it was just a bad name to give it, really. That was 86,000 that we mentioned. I said it was part of the 10, didn't I? And I mentioned the Neil land.
You ignored the word murder. Okay, got you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So when we're down now at 25,000, just says land, 21st of the 5th, 08. I mean, what he's done is he's just gone to his bank statement and seen all the money that he sent to Piraeus Bank or to my bank in the UK, or even probably to his own bank or to Alan Thompson or to New Century, and just classed it as if he's given it all to me, which is complete nonsense. But of course, we know the reason now is because he's got his tax bill and with his brother. So 25,016 for the 5th, 07. No idea what that was. He'll have put a.
It just says hashtag.
Yeah. He'll have put obviously he made a West Yorkshire Police statement and he made a Greek statement as well. So he will have allocated it for something in there, but it'll just be in a pack of lies or something like that. 15,000 Manfred money, 23rd of the 8th, 07. Well, we bought Manfred Hill in September 2006 for they put 470,000 into it. So I don't know why he's associating 15,000 Manfred money to me, because there might have been some tax or something they had to pay on their 2 plots.
So that's money that didn't go to you.
Yeah.
Oh. How many out of this list so far you've gone through? I mean, just looking at the bottom of this list, anyway, there's loads of just hashtags. But how much of this list do you reckon is actually relevant and true to you?
Probably very little, but all I can say,
Well, in
Brad,
terms
is,
of percentages, then give me an indicator.
well, I think the best way to say is that the actual charge in the Greek court case here was that he was claiming with Sue Watt that I'd embezzled him of 1.1 million. So let's say 1.1 million of this list went to that. But so that's the best way, because that's gone through a court. Now, Stephen Thomas wasn't part of the Bradford trial, even though he started it with this list, which is ridiculous when you think about it. The man that starts it, well, he couldn't go there, could he? Because they all knew that he was a rapist. They all know he battered Christopher and James, his own two sons. And we now know that he's raped Simon's son. So, and
Right. You've made that clear. All right, Dave Land, what does that got to do with you? 10,000.
I've no idea what it is. No idea.
Jason Stamos.
10,000 to Jason Stamos. He's my cousin. And Jason was working for us full time back in 2007. He was working for us for a couple of years. You know, it was a very clever guy, really. He worked for the World Bank and had some quite prestigious jobs. And he's Greek. He's my cousin, and so he was a great help at the start. But then
Yes, though, right. Well, we're talking about like quite a large number of monies being passed around, and there's very little description, and he blames you for lack of detail.
Yeah.
Anyway, it goes on here. Murder house again.
Right, well, let me pick up on that, brother. It's the murder. He's saying 9,000 deposit, murder house, 26th of the 7th, 207. Right? Back up higher up in the list for where we had the murder house before.
Yeah.
I can't see it. Oh yeah.
15th of the 9th.
Yeah. So you wouldn't pay a deposit in July 2007 and then the balance in September 2008. You know, it's ridiculous. So he's just he's just gone, I've got all these payments. He's just put his own words against his payments just to try and to incriminate me. Then he's got 15,000 deal, 16th of the 1st, 07.
You know what it is? Do you know what it is?
Well, it's 2 days. It's 2 weeks exactly after he lied at Bradford Family Court that he hadn't sent any money. But of course, he was probably allowed to send the 15,000 then because he'd already lied in his deposition 2 weeks earlier. I can't actually remember what it's for. No, 7,000 hashtag 3rd of the 9th, 07. I can find out from the statements, to be fair, but it's not. I don't think we really need to. It's just
okay. No. It's somewhat irrelevant anyway. The point they're making out there's lacks a lot of detail, and he's blaming you for lacking detail as well. And then he goes on 7,000 air conditioning 5 villas. That seems very cheap to me. 25,000 to Alan Thompson. What's that got to do with you?
Money owed to Alan Thompson by Ralph Christie, 20th of the 3rd, 07.
So he's paying off your debts.
Well, you've got to bear in mind this is the time that Alan Thompson is building Simon Thomas's house. So this will have been a payment towards the house. He's just earmarked against me. So it's complete.
Let me just carry on very briefly. New Century 20,500 Perez Bank 10,000 to Ralph Christie, and then he got a ton of payments all hashtag. See, the thing is, if this is a legal document, right, that was used in court or whatever, and that's probably the only way you got hold of it because it must have been used in court. They're not even like redacting anything; it just says hashtag.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say where it's got paid to or whatever. We're talking like vast sums of money: 126,000, 56,000, 37,000, 46,000, 57,000, 113,000, 79,000, 25,000, and oh right, okay. Here's an interesting one. The last one: 113,450 loss of interest over 3 years. So that's not a transaction in itself.
No, and of course, all these payments haven't gone to me, which is quite evident. I mean, they're just it's all about
where these payments have gone then, or just random. Do you know where these payments have gone then?
there will have been things that were going on in Crete, but he was doing his own business here. And bear in mind, he's got to get rid of 3.5 million, hasn't he? Some of it, he had his own bank account here. He got his own mortgage over here. We've seen that earlier on of 400,000. And this is what kind of started the whole. Well, we know it started with Cedric now in September 2008, but this is where Cedric had confided in Glenn Acorn in April 2009, who was a fellow police officer, who told Alistair Bateman, and Alistair Bateman was Stephen Thomas's criminal lawyer for the rapes and various other activities. In 2001, apparently, he hit a police officer. He hit a police officer with his car on purpose. And Ray Singh, who was the top judge in Bradford, I think he's retired now, managed Stephen Thomas to only get 3 points on his license and wasn't even charged from it. So his contacts, he's certainly got contacts in the right places to stay out of jail.
It appears so. It appears so.
But what would Sue Watt make of this? I mean, Sue Watt is, she's getting all our funds and whatever. So she's got, she has got to, and she's the clerk now of in Devon still, so she's got to have some money now. So what she's going to get all this and think, wow, look at all this money Ralph's stolen off Stephen. Wow, it's terrible, and all the rest of it. And and she's honestly believed it. But I mean, she must be asking herself serious questions why she became like the fantasist of all this.
Okay, I've got two more points here. Right, this is not a professional document by any stretch of the imagination. And it looks like it's pretty much done on a fag packet. But he refers here, if you need any further information, contact Grant Thornton. And he names the partner and a mobile phone number. So Grant Thornton, obviously a massive accountancy practice. Now, anyway, but also he says here, money's paid to me by RC, which I'm guessing is you, 50,000 euros approximately since April 2006, and then he goes on to say Barclays account opened in Crete, 2006.
Yeah, so he's acknowledging he's got 50,000 back from me. I can't remember what that's for. I know he took 50,000 out of a bank in Igoumenitsa, which is a port in the north of Greece, when he was driving Malcolm Forsyth's car back for him, which he charged him 2,000 to do. I think this was 2006. We know he had 100 and what did he get? He had 250,000 euros out of the Howard Tennant's million to buy him out of Veron. There's no mention of that there.
Well, that was my next question, because we've talked about quite large numbers of monies that's gone back to him.
Yeah,
and all he's referring to is 50,000 euros.
Yeah, and also there's the money from 192,000 from Hockley that he got in cash that I got convicted for. We mentioned the 15,000 he had from the Swiss bank account. There's no mention of that there, is there? And there's probably another 4 or 5 payments, if I think about it, that he will have had. Oh, the 80,000 that went back to his brother with Mario Cercione. Mario Cercione said that under oath, and it was a fact, that happened. So, yeah, it's just all gobbledygook to cover up the paying the tax, isn't it? And then at the last one, he says at the bottom, contact me if you need any more info. There may be something I've missed. This does not include Manfred Hill. 470,000 paid. Yes, by Simon and Stephen Thomas, half each. And I paid my share. Manfred paid his share and Jason paid his share. And that's accountable. So
I did see that. I was waiting to see what you said on that. But it's almost like, you think about it, it's so casual, right? Contact me if you need any more information I've missed. And it's almost like, oh yeah, by the way, there's another £470,000 paid, right, or euros, right? Yeah. But that's the biggest number on the list, and that's at the very bottom, casually. And then he said, "Thanks."
Yeah. Because Sue Watt's come up with this idiot idea that we've ripped them off for St George's Retreat. They've seen this as we can use Sue Watt now because she's got this. We know that St George is a great deal, but the great thing now is we'll just use Sue Watt and she'll do all the work for us. We'll pay her $3,000 a month, and we don't have to pay our tax for $3 million. That's exactly what happened. So, should we go on to that other document?
Yeah. Feeble, is it feeble?
The feeble, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't got a lot of time left.
No. Okay, well, we'll just glance through it because this is back to Cedric, 2nd of December 2011.
Do you want to read it or shall I?
I don't mind.
Go on, you do it.
Okay.
Better we're hearing my voice all the time.
So Cedric sent this to Steve Taylor, the officer in charge, his partner in the economic crime unit, guy he worked with for umpteen years. Stephen Taylor, you are really scraping the bottom of the barrel now, and you know what I mean. The more the West Yorkshire Police do, the worse they look. That's what happens when you are in the last chance saloon. Careers and reputations are the stakes we are playing for. So I'm not surprised that you're dirty.
Hang on. I've not obviously read this, but this is Cedric sending it to a fellow police officer.
Cedric sending it to Stephen Taylor, who's the officer in charge of Operation Langan, that was investigating Cedric before me in 2008.
So, I'd like to read this then. Okay.
Yeah.
2nd of December 2011. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's that's his usual email address as well.
Yeah.
And that's Stephen Taylor. You are really scraping the bottom of the barrel now, and you know what I mean. The more the West Yorkshire Police do, the worse they look. That's what happens when you are at your last chance saloon. Oh, wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Careers and reputations are at stake. We are playing for. So I'm not surprised of dirty tactics. Oh, my days.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
And he's actually sent it to Stephen Taylor.
Yeah. It gets worse lower down. Let's fly through it.
How did you get a copy? How
Pick
did you
it
get
back
this?
up next week.
How did you get this?
Cedric sent it to me. It's part of the Greek trial.
Wow.
Cedric sent it out to loads of people.
This makes it even worse for Cedric as well.
Yeah.
I have my integrity intact, as so does Ralph. Shame on your conduct and that of your senior management, including ACPO. Try chasing some criminals. Don't collude with them to destroy my career and my brother's business. I did it for 28 years.
What, colluded with criminals?
Yeah, that's what I was just laughing about. It says,
They got away with it. They're
I
still
did
getting away.
I did it for 28 years. I did it with 20 years with great success.
Before you opted to believe criminals ahead of a loyal, dedicated officer.
Oh my days. This is like proper comedy sketch stuff. Oh my days. My cheeks are hurting, Ralph.
Yeah, let me keep going for the readers.
Go on. We have listeners more than readers.
Sorry. This concocted farce started just over 3 years ago and no charges. Nearly as long as the Simon Thomas and Richard Holmes case. And strangely enough, no charges on them either. This is Operation Fern, which is what Cedric was investigating when they found out he was bent, so they took him off that. And Simon Morris, I don't think, was ever convicted. I think he got some small conviction for something else. Richard Holmes, all the way through my case, he's been saying was doing mortgage fraud. I think Sue Watt tried to expose him for doing a mortgage fraud on Farshay Farm, which is a property I owned here. And this is all just nonsense. And what is sent to the next person, ACC John Parkinson MBE, who went on to be the Chief Constable of West Yorkshire after this date, this is what he said to him. Do you want to read it, brothers?
Yeah. I'm just okay. Yeah, I'll read it. Yeah, I'm just thinking about something else actually. ACE John Parkinson MBE. The public of West Yorkshire Police need the police force in which they have pride, confidence, and trust. Courageous leaders get a grip and make sound decisions. They don't allow their subordinates, colleagues to sucker them in and lie to them. Your personal friendship have tainted your judgment. I told you in the summer of 2010 that there was a strong suspicion of corruption, that what you should be investigating. However, you ignored me and chose to lie to me. Why? I mean, geez, Ralph, come on, man. This, how have you left this so late in this series? Jeez,
Well,
it's shocking, absolutely shocking.
yeah, but they're all. They see he's got stuff. John Parkinson. I've known and since he was 16 years old. The guy that came over to Crete, Andrew Watts, the same 16-year-old. They were all cadets together. So and Parkinson went on to be the head of West Yorkshire Police. He was head of anti-terrorism for the whole of the UK at one time. I think he might even be knighted now. I carpeted 4 or 5 of his houses over the years and what have you. So this is the internal problem of it all, brothers. They've all got stuff on each other, so they can't do Stephen Thomas or Simon Thomas or Cedric or Parkinson, because Cedric said there that Parkinson's corrupt. So, they're all corrupt. They're rotten to the core. I'm running a business in Crete that is 100% honest. It's not corrupt. It's not doing anything wrong. I've been proven guilty in Greece. Then you've got all these corrupt police officers, Simon Thomas. You've got rapists. You've got, looks like kiddie fiddlers. There's not just going to be poor old Matthew.
This, to be honest, is another level.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can get a freedom of information request from emails from Cedric to Stephen Taylor. I don't know if you can or not. I don't know.
I've got emails from Cedric to John Parkinson, and Parkinson going back to him. Emails to, as I said, to Callaghan.
Similar to this?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And to Bettison, yeah. The whole lot of them.
They're all talking like this.
Yeah, they're all corrupt, honestly. A lot of them about the internal. This is the problem.
Wow.
That's why I ended up getting convicted, and they've all walked free. But this one, I know we're doing program after program. It's absolutely brilliant, but somebody somewhere has got to say this isn't how things should be in the UK. It's the same in all the police forces as well.
On that bombshell, let's leave it there for next week. You need to find these other emails that you're talking about, and we'll discuss them next week. Ralph, what's your final song for this?
Going back to my mate Dave Hemingway from the beautiful South, because I think we've only had 1 or 2 of his songs, and hope he's found the program and is listening to it. And he's more than welcome to come over with his family in Crete. Hadn't been over for probably 20 years, and the song is "Everybody's Talking About Me," the beautiful South. And you, brothers, they're talking about you as well.
Trust me, they are. I see it on social media. I don't care. Anyway, that's a nice end to the episode.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart was only last week that we first met when I was walking down the street. You came up from behind me and I knew that our eyes were gonna meet. That's when I fell into your arms. Imagine my surprise. I thought this only happened in fairy tales. Love hit me right between the eyes. Oh yeah, high energy. Your love is lifting me. Woo woo, high energy. Yeah, your love is lifting me, lifting me When you call me on the phone, you make my spirits rise. I'm glad the others didn't last. It's a blessing in disguise. Every time you're touching me, it gives me such a thrill. When I look deep into your eyes, my heart just can't keep still. Oh no, high energy. Your love is lifting me. Woo woo, high energy. Yeah, your love is lifting me, lifting me so high. All the gold that's in Fort Knox couldn't buy this happiness. With your love, I don't need money, I don't need success. I became a victim of a sudden love attack. Yeah, it happened in the blink of an eye, and there's no holding back. Oh, high energy. Yeah, your love is lifting me. Woo 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 woo. High energy. Ooh yeah, your love is lifting me, lifting me high. Energy. Your love. Yeah.
This ship has taken me far away from the memories of the people who care if I live or die. The starlight, I will be chasing a starlight until the end of my life. I don't know if it's worth it anymore. Hold you in my arms. I just wanted to hold you in my arms. My life, you electrify my life. Let's conspire to ignite all the souls that would die just to feel alive. I'll never let you go if you promise not to fade away, never fade away. Our hopes and expectations
The song that angels sing, the spell that calls, the gathering, the magic that might bring eternal life, the gathering.